is going on this week is the on-campus salute for Tim Couch's induction into the College Football Hall of Fame. Have representatives from Fidelity Investments, which is the official sponsor, and also from the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame will be here Saturday to do that. That will be in between the first and second quarters. So the official induction dinner will be December in Las Vegas. And that being said, we will turn it loose to Coach Stoops.
Thank you. Apologize being a few minutes late. Had a few things to do this morning, as you can imagine. So, yeah, I'd like to start with what Tony said there, reiterating how proud we are of Tim, and congratulations to Tim Couch in going into the Hall of Fame. Well deserved. So we are very excited for him. You know, after watching the film post-game for South Carolina, you know, much of what I said after the game holds true, with one exception, and it's a good thing. After watching the film, I actually do think our guys played really hard. We just didn't play very smart. I said that, you know, in the post-game as well, and it holds true. We didn't play we didn't execute very good. We didn't play very disciplined. We didn't play winning football at all. We played hard at times. Guys were physically up for the challenge. Just mentally, we got to do a better job. And you know, you have to put a lot of that and give credit to South Carolina for that as well. They affected us. They played very good. They played better than us. And that's the bottom line. They played very good, especially defensively. Offensively, they did a really good job as well. You know, I think Dow Loggins does a heck of a job, and they hung in there. And, you know, it starts, you know, somebody asked me the question after post-game, I think it was John, you know, about, you know, going for it, and that's clearly a mistake on me. The game was very tight at that point, and both teams were struggling to move the football. You know, heck, the game didn't. You know, I think they went up 17 on like the 8th or 9th possession of the game, and that was on the 4th and 1. I think we had them stopped. I think they're going to punt the ball, and, you know, it's 10-6 game at that point. And would have been even closer, possibly if I'd have punted the ball there instead of went for it on 4th and 1. And then I think, you know, the next possession is the possession. There's 2 or 3 balls on the ground, and we can't, you know, we just can't scoop it. You know, we had an opportunity to do some of those things. So, you know, bottom line is, in summary, what I said after the game. You know, give them credit. You know, South Carolina played very good. We didn't play good enough, starting with, you know, myself, our staff, all the way down to the players. And you know, I talk about it all the time. I don't think, you know, I have to deliver it in a different way to the players, but it, you know, it comes down to disciplined execution, and I talk about that all the time. But it holds true. You know, there's, you know, in that game, I think South Carolina had 6 explosive plays for 152 yards. And of the explosives, 3 of them were complete technique issues, just playing football. 3 of them were, you know, several of them were good on their part. One was a real competitive play on an RPO between one of their wide receivers and Max on a really tight play. The other wheel route was a good concept. They sucked up one of our guys' eyes and you know, hit the wheel route for the touchdown, I think, to make it 17. You know, so just a lot that we can improve on. And again, give them credit. Shane Beamer and their staff did a better job than us, and they beat us. And late, it you know, it got away from us with the pick 6 and things of that nature. And you know, offensively, clearly, you know, we got out of rhythm. You know, we didn't play very good, and you can't have penalty after penalty after penalty. That part of it, the execution and the undisciplined play, was embarrassing, and the penalties and things of that nature, just can't do it. I mean, we're still in the game and hit the big pass out to the 30 or so, and then we have another, you know, 2 more penalties after that. I mean, that's just you know, totally unacceptable. It's, you know, unexpected. You know, and it is what it is. So we better turn the page quickly, but we have to own that first. and that's what we're all going to do. We're gonna own it, and all have to take charge of our responsibility, our job, and do it with pride. And and then we have to hone in on what we're going to do, and clearly do it better, and make sure we're putting our players in a position to be successful. We must improve, as you know. The schedule only gets harder, with playing Kirby's team, playing Georgia, and the number one team in the nation. And they deserve that. I guess you could flip a coin between them and Texas. They both look like they're awfully impressive. I think we get the opportunity to play 4 of the top 6 in the coming weeks, so that's a joy. But it's a great opportunity, and I mean that. I have great respect for Kirby, Georgia, their staff. Mike Bobo's been around there forever, off and on. Played there with Kirby, and those guys do a great job. They, Carson Beck, just a remarkable player. Just hitting on all cylinders right now, and just a very good, tough player. He throws it in rhythm. He throws it, very precise, but he's awfully tough as well. He'll pull it down, scramble, buy time, run with his feet, lower his shoulder. You name it, he does it. You can see he's a clear leader on a very good veteran team. Their wideouts can really go. They have some wideouts that really have great top end. They always have great backs, and this year, with Etienne and then the freshmen, they're just very impressive young men, and so very good team defensively. You know what you're getting there. You're always going to get a great defense with a bunch of guys that have a lot of length and a lot of strength, and that are coached very well and play very well. So. We know that going into it with Georgia, you have to compliment them because they deserve it, and they've done it with consistency for a long time. And for us, we have to improve. Bottom line, we got to get better, and we have a great opportunity to do that this week against one of the very best teams in the country, and so we'll be up for that challenge. I do expect our team to respond. There were so many good plays that got overlooked defensively. We created a lot of negative plays, had the ball on the ground. We got to get some of those to, and give us an opportunity, get that spark that we needed. But there was a ton of negative yardage plays created and a lot of pressure. And then some ones that we missed even late. I think after it was already 17, the next one, we had them a couple opportunities. Those third downs were hurtful. They only converted 3, but they were painful. They were a painful 3. And then we lost contain that gave up the score to make it 24 on a play that just is fundamental football. So I think a lot of things are fixable, and the other things we have to make sure we have a good plan to get fixed and improve. So yeah.
The film showed you guys didn't play hard. I don't think fans always understand the distinction between playing hard and the undisciplined stuff you're talking about. So what did you see?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, and it's true. We were clearly undisciplined at times. See, like, defensively played exceptionally hard. We created a bunch of negative yardage plays. The ball's on the ground. I mean, heck, in the one series, the ball's clearly up for grabs 2 plays in a row, and we can't get it. And so, that's what I mean. They played hard. We just didn't play very smart, and with execution and with the discipline. Like the 4th and 1. I mean, it looks, like a comedy of errors at times, but it's like, guys are up there, and I have to look at it. There was the creative way that they did it. I thought you weren't allowed to do, by putting somebody under center and the quarterback clapping behind him with him moving his foot. I didn't think you were allowed to do that. You know what I mean? But again, no excuses. We have to be smart and understand those things. So that's, what I'm talking about. Like, they're playing hard, just not very smart right there. Offensively, different story. You know what I mean? There's things of execution that were inexcusable. You know what I mean? And give them credit. They're hard to block. We said that going into it. We knew they were hard to block. We knew their edge was going to be, is a threat. and they have some really good, talented players that can create some havoc. And their inside guys, people underestimate them. I talk about them. They're experienced players. They're good through the middle, and guys that have been around. And then they added some edge, and so and they they disrupted us, and then that gets us a little out of rhythm. I thought there's things we could do better. We have to own that part. When we ran the ball downhill like we did in the third or fourth drive and got some runs, by that time it takes some confidence away. I made the bad decision, to go for it, put it a 2-score game. You start getting the negative yardage plays on your side. You start losing that confidence, instead of, for us, I think, our part, we could take better ownership, stick to our plan of running downhill at them early, not letting them wreck us, with the edges, with their, with said dynamic guys. And we started doing that. We just lost the confidence in throwing at that point in time, our protection at that point in time.
You said 180 rushing yards when you take out the sacks, but pass blocking, the protection, like I said, wasn't there. So can you just explain the difference between, run blocking and pass blocking, and how it can be just such a drastic swing of the pendulum?
Yeah, I think, we have to be able to run the ball so we can protect, and for defenses, if you get in predictable, if you get the offense in predictable pass, then those guys are going to tee off, and they have some. Again, we knew that their front was hard to block, and certainly their edge, all front, because they hurt us inside and they hurt us outside, So if we're chipping and trying to help the tackles, their inside guys got pressure as well. So, and with run game, I thought our coaches did a very good job of anticipating the 3 down with the spoke defense, and they did that. They opened the game with it. We had an answer for it, and they got back into the 4 down, and we didn't have a real good answer for their pass rush on that, and so we became one-dimensional. And you've heard me say it a bunch of times. You get one-dimensional, it's not good.
Looking at the film on pass block, do you think it was just communication or just misassignments? What do you see there?
We had guys getting beat. We got beat inside. 2 guys inside got beat with one-on-ones. On the edge, we got beat several times. We chipped, and just overall pocket, was not good enough. And there's a lot of people in that boat. That's why you got to be creative and again, just do the things we can do well, and we got out of rhythm. And again, give them credit. We talk about it all the time, affecting the quarterback, making them uncomfortable, and they certainly did that.
Mark, we've seen you go to the bubbles and the quick throws before. Obviously, it worked great with Wandell, but we've seen it the last couple of years maybe when the quarterback needs to get the ball out quick when the O-line's not doing as well. Is that something that could happen, to get the ball that far?
Yeah. We took ourselves out of position, with that. We hit the big pass to Dane. We go quick. We throw it outside, and we lose 5 yards. Then the next play, I think we got sacked or had a penalty, and took ourselves completely out of field goal range, trying to go quick. We had numbers, missed the block, and they played it very aggressively, and, we got beat on it. But, we're trying to get to the perimeter. I think a painful play, as I mentioned after the game, was the 9-yard run on first down, then second down, lose 7 or 8 on the perimeter, and the read, the pull was there, to get the first down. And there's another play on the same play you're talking about on throwing on the perimeter. We could have handed it, and I think a hand would have gotten 5 yards. Instead, we go back 5.
Mark, how do you handle Brock this week? He's playing against his former team,
Yeah.
coming off a shaky performance
Yeah.
at best. How do you handle this?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, we have to play good around him. You've heard me say, but it's very, very true. He has to have some time, and we have to have a good plan for him. He's playing a great defense. Brock is a tough, resilient guy that, we have to play well around him, and we got to put him in a position to be successful. And, he'll be good, and, I hope, we'll just leave it at that. I have confidence that he'll get back and play well.
Mark, the pass protection was obviously an issue 2 years ago with the sacks allowed. It got much better last year. Is this just a product of changing systems again, or do you think those guys?
Well, I mean, I can't sit here, I'm going to own it. I'm going to take my bullets. You know what I mean? But yeah, the continuity is clearly not, you know what I mean, doesn't help. In recruiting, it doesn't help with the inconsistency that we've had in the turnover. You know what I mean? So we have to settle in. We have to recruit. I have unbelievable confidence in Coach Wolf. You know what I mean? Especially the way he recruits and the way he coaches, and we just got to continue to build that up. Over 3-4 years, the attrition. You know what I mean? It takes its toll on you.
Going back to Brock, he only threw 21 passes in those 3 seasons at Georgia. With that, when you recruit him out of the transfer portal, is that something you have to go back more and look at the high school film just because there was so little college film on him?
I've addressed that several times already, and I'm not going to second guess myself because of this game, but Brock, we saw him play a complete game in game 1, and we saw the way he's capable of playing, and we did not have a good game on Saturday. That's not all on Brock. We didn't even give him a chance half the time, let's be honest. You know what I mean? So you can't put that on him.
I was just asking, like, when you recruited him out of the transfer portal, was
Yeah.
something you had to go back more to look at more high school film because of how little he played at Georgia?
Yeah, you of course you do. You look at all avenues. You know what I mean? You look at everything you can, and make the best decision.
How he played against you guys last year when he came and led a touchdown drive? Did that
It sure
impress
did.
you at all?
Well, of course it did. As I mentioned, several times, is, when you did see him in there, you see the way he operated. You know the system that he comes from. It's a complicated, very good system that he's been asked to do a lot. And he when he came in, it was just very smooth, very good, and very clean. And again, he's one play away from playing in some of the most, important games of the year. You know what I mean? So I think that tells you that he's a pretty good player.
Mark, you looked at completion percentage last year was really high. You all out through 2 games. Quarterback competing over 70% of the passes. What are you seeing there? What do y'all need to improve on in that aspect?
Yeah, we're getting, it's just like the third downs. We had some great negative yardage plays. We mixed it up. We were getting pressure on them and getting the ball on the ground. Got the pick, but you can't have any breakdowns at all. Especially when it's just fundamentals. Sometimes they're going to beat you. It's like the 1 3rd down on 3rd and 11. We played some man and they beat us. They won the 1-on-1. And then the other 3rd and 14 that hurt us bad. Again, no excuses. I mean, we had 2 guys playing the wrong coverage because of the technology, and then that's no excuse. Just the guys that have the communication were actually playing the wrong call, the 2 inside guys. You know what I mean? So everybody else was, because they saw the sign and he heard what he heard. So, but what excuses are. Everybody has them.
Looking forward to the short game. You talked about them always having a great running game. You haven't been able to see much of ETN this year, but you've seen him in the past. So what do you kind of got to do to help a guy like that?
Yeah, you see a very good football player. Him and Frazier. They're dynamic. And that's Georgia. They always have guys that are explosive. But ETN, yeah, I think he's just another added weapon for a very good football team that has an O-line that is very cohesive. They play very well together, and very very well coached with Stacy Searles, and they're just a good good group. With Carson at quarterback and the dynamic receivers they have, and now you put the running backs in there. It's an explosive group.
Well, you talked after the game quite a bit about just the lack of response from your players. It seems to be a refrain we've heard in previous years. Do you think that just resolve is difficult to kind of create and cultivate when there's so many moving parts in all teams?
Yeah, I have, like I told you post game. I mean, we've taken some tough, losses and got our butts whooped pretty bad. But I've always had, teams have always had the resolve and the toughness and the grit and the, to fight back and get themselves up. And I can't put that all on them. You know what I mean? After watching the film, like, we have to own our part too. You know, we have to put them in a position to be successful. You know, some of the penalties are inexcusable. You know, they're not coached to do that. But, you know, we also have to, you know, do our part, you know, and put them in a position to be successful. So we're all in it together. We're all going to, you know, take it and you know, take ownership of it. And, you know, the big thing is everybody's got to take charge, you know, of their own self and their job and their area, you know, and then, you know, better execution and take pride in what we do. We have done that. We've done that well. That's why we've, you know, again, you know, we've had the consistency that we've had. You know, we've want, you know, more wins. We want to play better, but you know, we've also, you know, had some consistency that is not exactly easy in this league.
Jeff and then John, what up?
You alluded to a couple of those plays where Brock maybe could have pulled it down and had something. Do you think maybe that, looking back at week one where we all
Yes.
sat around talking about maybe he was
Yes.
over-aggressive, was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think, you know, again, that's part of it on us and saying, you know, and making sure he's not getting hit too much. You know what I mean? There's going to be some design quarterback runs, but also, you know, not putting it all on him. Like that is a perfect example of their, in hindsight, again, I'm not throwing Bush or anybody else. We talk about things openly. We're going to own our stuff. You know, to me, there's no read there. You hand the ball off or you throw it. You know what I mean? If you want to play action, they throw it, but don't put the read in there. You know, don't give them that decision. Hand the ball off or throw the ball. You know what I mean? But something where we're reading it, you know, when he was knocked around, you know, quite a bit in that first game, and we are talking to him about, you know, being smart and protecting himself. Now, with that being said, we knew early on we didn't want to get that ball on the perimeter. You know what I mean? And take negative yardage plays with how disruptive and getting up the field some of those guys are.
Yeah.
After a game like this, it seems like we always ask you about leadership, so I mean, I want to ask you about leadership. How do you feel about the leadership of this team, and how important is that going to be this week?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's going to be super important, you know, and, you know, it started yesterday with guys, you know, filtering around the office and, you know, I had a conversation with somebody that's been a captain around here for a while and a great guy, and, you know, and Eli and I sat there and talked, and, you know, and that's the first thing I asked him, like, am I missing something here? Like, you know, what am I missing? And, you know, I think he had the same feeling that I had, was, you know what I mean, that did not see that coming, you know, and felt like, you know, that we have the toughness and the grit and the pride to get things fixed.
Mark, going off that a little bit, you said after the game you were pleased with the week of preparation going in, but when you guys always self-evaluate, did you guys kind of learn anything about the week of preparation, or was it just a perfect storm?
No, I think that holds true. And again, just reinforcing to your question, I mean, Eli's a guy that I trust, and he's mature, he's smart, he's been around here forever, like, you know, and you know, and that's what he said. He's, you know, without me feeding him anything or hearing anything, I'm sure I read or said, you know, he's like, you know, it was a great week, you know, and felt like everybody was really good and tuned in. You know, you have to go out there and play, and they played better than us, and they coached better than us. And
John, last one, Mark.
But on the leadership thing, it seems like you're handling captains different than the past.
Yeah.
You don't have 7 or 8 permanent captains kind of rotating. What went into kind of that decision?
the way it was distributed, you know, there was a lot of guys, you know, votes, and there's, you know, a whole bunch of them that were separated by like 1 vote, you know, and so, you know, I think it's just, you know, it's one of those situations where a lot of people don't name, you know, you could just rotate who's playing well, who's leading, who's showing, you know, in times like this, who's going to stand up this week and be great leaders, you know, and some people vote for captains at the end of the year because they want to see the whole body of work and how they, you know, how we do respond to adversity. That's, you know, real leadership, you know, so, you know, I think that's a big part of it, you know. You know, adversity will reveal a man to himself, right? You know, and, you know, through this adversity, you know, we'll see who responds and who owns it, and you know, and pulls their own weight and pulls some people up with them, and I feel fine about that. You know, again, you know, in conversations with some guys on the team that I have great faith and confidence in, they felt the same way, you know. I always use the 10-80-10, you know, analogy. You know, if there's 10% elite, 80% in the middle, and 10% at the bottom. And before I said a word, guys are telling me, Coach, don't worry about it. There's no 10% pulling anybody down. You know what I mean? Like, we just have to stick to it. We have some problems. We have some areas that we knew, you know what I mean, that you know, we've got to continue to develop and get better. And, you know, and meanwhile, we got to, you know, make sure we have a plan to help them be successful.
Mark, did anybody on the offensive line play well or play well?
Not really, because it was like one play maybe, but it was a big play. You know, that's what I talk about on third down. You know, it's like, you know, you can't give up any of those. You know what I mean? In critical moments. You know, in a tight game, and that's where they did a much better job than us. I think each of us only converted 3, but they're 2 of theirs I know went on the touchdowns. And but you know, offensively, I think there's some guys that strained that did some good things, but they'd have one play or a glaring, you know, play that hurt us inside. You know, it's not for the lack of effort all the time. You know, and some of it is, you know, things that I preach all the time. I mean, we have to just be mentally on point, you know, 100% of the time. And you know, that's what we have to get back to this week. You know, just making sure, you know, we have a game plan that they can execute and operate and hold everybody accountable to do that.
Folks, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And we'll see you tomorrow.